Hey y'all, I'm Kelly with CDX. I'm talking with the legendary country music queen, Jeannie Seely. Jeannie, I am thrilled to be sitting here with you. I am a huge fan, have been for ages. It's so nice to meet you. What is going on?
Oh, Allie, thank you so much for having me. Everything is going on. What an exciting time here in Nashville. And, I've done this for so many years, but it's just exciting every year because I get to see old friends, but I'm making so many new ones too. So it's just an exciting time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love it. We have been watching you, and I'm just laughing at how much you do. You're everywhere all the time. Last night you were at Country for a Cause. Tonight you've got Match Game, right? That is a fun thing to do during Music Fest. City of Hope softball game?
Yes, I'll be calling the second inning, I think, for that. And then, of course, I'll be opening the Opry Friday night and Saturday night. Sunday, we're doing the gospel show at the Opry House.
You are crazy busy. Let's talk about your new radio show. I love it. We're fans of SiriusXM and Willie's Roadhouse. Now you've got your show.
I am just thrilled about this. It really wasn't something I had given that much thought to, but they said they wanted a little more female presence on the Roadhouse. Of course, I guess Paula Nelson is the only other one. And what a delight. I'm hoping Paula and I can do something together sometime. I think that would be fun. And, of course, to join the ranks of Dallas Wayne, Mike Terry, and old Charlie Monk.
The mayor.
The mayor, yeah. What a thrill to be a part of that XM family. And they've all been so nice to welcome me and give me confidence to do it. I said, I'm glad y'all have way more confidence in me and knowing what I'm doing than I do. But what a great opportunity to play the music of my peers. Yes. So that's just awesome.
Well, this is not the first time you've done a radio show, right? Haven't you done one in the past?
Oh, going all the way back to the late 60s, yeah. And, I did, back then it was called Armed Forces Radio. Today it's called American Forces. But my show went into Vietnam early in the morning, and it's so rewarding still. For different times, these gentlemen will come up and say, you used to get me up in the morning in Vietnam, and just it's wonderful to see them. I don't have it on today because I went with gold, but I wear a bracelet from the Vietnam area of Major Darrell Leeton, and I chose the name because of the date. It was September of '66. And my life was going so wonderful with Don't Touch Me hitting and just joining the Opry. I chose that bracelet to always remind me that not everybody was having as good a time during that period, and so kind of keep my feet on the ground and remember to be so appreciative of what I have and thoughtful of those. Since then, it's so ironic that I have met his son and some of his family and talked to his sister on the phone. And they were my guest at the Opry not long ago. And Keith Leeton is his name, and he's writing a book about his dad. So
that's great. That just gave me goosebumps. That is so wonderful.
Well, he told me, and this is something too, and I appreciate everyone from the Vietnam area, because I did do a lot of military tours then too, and one of the most rewarding times of my life. But it is funny, Keith and I were talking about the things that keep showing up about his dad, and I said he did not want to be forgotten. And little things come up, but when we're remembering him, we're remembering all the others too, was my point. I kind of ramble sometimes. Sorry about that.
We love a rambler. We love a rambler. Let's talk about the Opry. You recently celebrated your 50-year anniversary. You and only two other women have done that, Loretta and Connie Smith, right?
I think we're the only two living members now.
Oh, wow.
It's just, and somebody said there were only 6 altogether that reached that milestone. I have to stop one day and count up. But yeah, it's the old saying, you know, time flies when you're having a great time, and I've had just such a wonderful time there. That Opry family means everything in the world to me, and it truly is a family. When things are wonderful, they're there to celebrate with you, and if you're having a rough time, they're there for support too. It's just a great family. And plus, you know what? It's fun.
Yes, and I follow you on Facebook, so we've been watching Gene and praying for him as well. And I love the pictures you put up when the cat's laying beside him now that he's back home.
I know it. Yeah.
That's always makes me laugh.
Because of the schedule I've got, you know, this week and then going out of town next week, Gene went back to the physical rehab, so he can brush up on his physical things, and I didn't want him to be alone. Fall protection is the biggest concern now, and he's so tall too, you know. So anyway, yes, his cat was quite unhappy with me last night when there was no one in that recliner handing out treats.
See? It's a husband thing. He hands our cat treats too, so he's bought his love with ham. So.
That's great.
Well, one of my favorite things that I read about you did at the Opry was that you were the first one to wear a mini skirt.
Well, that is so funny that I would go down in history for that, because I had no idea. I mean, I wasn't making a statement. See, I had never been to the Opry until I was on it. I mean, I'd listened my whole life growing up in Pennsylvania, but then after school I had moved to L.A., and in California, you know, the fashion really starts in L.A., and so everybody was wearing mini skirts out there. So when I came back, I wore what I'd been wearing. And I'm like, when the manager called me in, I'm like, what are you saying? And he was so embarrassed, he had a hard time telling me. So it just turned out to be funny, but it did kind of change it. It's like, I think so many of the other girls wanted to get out of the gingham and ruffles, but everybody was afraid to be the first one. Jan Howard really never wore that many of those. Jan wore the dresses, but not quite in that style. She just never started. Of course, Jan moved there from California too, so she kind of took the California style from a few years earlier there. But anyway, it did change after that. The thing I'm most proud about is not that, but about the fact that I fought and kicked on the doors to allow women to host a portion of the Grand Ole Opry, because we were never allowed to host a portion. And early on, I remember they had an all-female show, and they had Gene Shepard host it, and they asked me later, said, well, are you happy? And I said, no. And they said, well, I thought that's what you want. I said, no, I don't want an all-female show, but I don't want an all-male show. I want an all-good show. I want good variety, and I want to I want the artist to be presented well. And I remember every manager that would come in, I'd set up my meeting, and talk them through my case. And I remember Hal Durham I'd say, why is it you said we can't host? He said, it's tradition, Jeannie. And I said, oh, that's right, it's tradition. It just smells like discrimination. So anyway, it wasn't until Bob Whitaker took over as manager of the Opry, and I made my normal little meeting to go in and talk, and Bob just looked at me. He had been managing Opryland Park, and so he wasn't even aware that women couldn't host the Opry. In Opryland Park, everybody had a speaking part, everybody had a microphone and lines in the shows out there. So he said, well, let me think about this and I'll get back to you. So then he called me and he said, okay, Seely. He said, I'm going to run you out there, but you better do the job, because if you don't, we're both in trouble. So I always, to this day, do my homework because I want to know something about that artist. And if I don't know them, if there's possible time, I go by their dressing room to meet them first. So
we love seeing you out there. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sitting with us. I have one quick question. What's your favorite restaurant in Nashville?
Oh my goodness. There are so many that it would be hard for me to say. There's a couple of new ones that I really want to try. And I understand there's one that sounds so interesting under the Johnny Cash Museum. Have you heard about that? I think it's called House of Cards or House of something. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah, I haven't been there, so maybe that will be. I'm going to try that.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Jeannie Seely.
Thank you.